Barbara was a very charming person. She had her mother was a club woman in La Mesa, and Barbara learned a lot from her mother, and was very gregarious, which I wasn't particularly, and so we seemed to make a good balance between the two of us, and so I was fascinated by her, and we got along extremely well, and I was just.
When did you know that you wanted to marry her?
Well,
Think of a time?
it's hard to say really, but we only dated a few months. I don't know how long we dated before I asked her to marry me, but it wasn't very romantic. I bought a diamond ring for her, and then I was so anxious to give it to her. We were riding in the back of her parents' car, and I handed her the ring. I said, "Will you marry me?" And she said, "You betcha!" And she yelled at her mother, "Look what I got!" and showed her mother the ring. So that was how romantic I was, you know. So, but I don't know what else you need to know.
Now, was she working during any of this time?
She worked for a while at Marston Company, and she worked at Marston was a what do you call it, department store, and she was in advertising section, and she did she posed for sketches by the artists there, and she did a lot of filing work and that sort of stuff, but modeled quite a bit, and I don't remember exactly how much money she made, not a lot, but anyway, that I was working downtown too, so we worked together, and we moved to La Mesa on Manor Drive, and had a small house there with a big backyard with all kinds of equipment in the back. It had a playground with a merry-go-round in there, and a teeter-totter, and a drinking fountain, and a two-room playhouse, and well, just anything a kid would want to play with. And then had every type of fruit tree you ever heard of in the backyard. And then we bought a dog named Manfred the Noble Wonder Dog, which was hard to pronounce when you're yelling for him. But we had him for a while, but then he got in the habit of going out and eating the bark off all the trees. So I finally had to take him to an animal shelter and tell them that we couldn't handle him. So they took him. And so, anyway, that's that part.
And so then you sold the Wonder House and moved to El Centro for a few months.
Yes.
And then you moved back out of
Then
El Centro.
Then we moved back out, and we ended up on Henderson Drive then with another new home and a new subdivision on Henderson Drive, and that started a new part of our life. We met a lot of friends, people we knew, we learned to appreciate, and we had parties there. We had the Henderson Drive Chowder and Marching Society, and we'd get together with the neighbors for park picnics and potlucks and so on.
Was that when you did the parade?
Yeah, we hit. This is another thing. Barbara and the lady next door, Mrs. Ochoa, got together and decided to have a 4th of July parade. And this is kind of the thing that Barbara did. She took action and did things. So we had these 4th of July parades, and they got all the neighborhood kids together and all the neighborhood women, and they had a potluck, and they put it on our driveway, and then we would play a record. I played records of marching, Sousa marching band, and the kids would have their wagons and so on, and they'd march up and down the street, up one side and down the other, and having a 4th of July parade right in our own neighborhood. And the TV stations even picked it up one time, didn't they? And said you may hear about all the big parades, but there's one little parade in La Mesa that is just as good, and they talked about that on the TV.
How old were your kids at that time? About?
Well, I think they were probably 12 and lower, you know.
So it would have been the early 60s?
Yeah. So anyway, we did that, and then Mother, Barbara, she joined the La Mesa Women's Club and eventually became president of the La Mesa Women's Club, which is another thing she usually ended up doing. And so that was our life there in La Mesa.
When did you move to Julian?
Well, Barbara and I, when the kids got a little older and were in high school, we found out we had some free time on weekends. We didn't have to babysit all this. And so Barbara and I would take a ride in the mountains, and just a Sunday drive. And we'd come up to the Laguna Mountains and so on, and come down, and sometimes we'd stop over here at Tom's Chicken Shack, which is in Wynola, that's a little west of Julian, and we'd get a chicken dinner. And then one day we were driving by this location where we are right now, and we saw a sign that says lots for sale. So we pulled in, and the owner of this whole subdivision and developer took us over and showed us this lot, and he says, I don't know why nobody picked it. He says it's one of the best lots we have because of the view it has. Because we can look off here over my shoulder, and on a clear day, especially after rain, you can see the ocean, you can see San Clemente Island, you can see SeaWorld Tower, and you can see the ocean off of Mission Beach. And we ended up finding out we could buy this place for $11,900.
With no house on it?
No house, just a vacant lot, 2.5 acres. So we bought the house, bought the property, and figured, well, we'll keep it a couple years and then sell it because it'll go up in value and we can make a little profit. So then on weekends we started coming up here and just kind of picking up things and straightening things around and trimming trees a little bit. And one day, I just never expected to hear this. Barbara says, wouldn't it be great to live here? And I wanted to hear those words so badly, but I just never thought her being a city girl would ever do that, because I was raised as you remember, on a chicken ranch and so on. But she said, it'd be great to live here. And I said, well, maybe we could. So we sat down and we sketched out a sketch of what kind of a house we wanted, how many rooms and all that. And we finally ended up drawing a pretty detailed sketch of what we wanted to do. And then I found out there was a building design company, and it was run by a fellow I knew in State College when I was going to school. And so we went down and talked to him, and he came up with me, and we surveyed the lot, and he went back and designed the house according to California standards and so on. And by doing that, he found out he couldn't quite do everything we wanted, but he managed to develop a pretty nice home, about 3,000 square feet by when we got all through with it. And so we started building, and we decided we couldn't afford to hire a contractor, so we built it ourselves, and warned against that by many people. But we thought, well, we'll try it. And so we started hiring carpenters and and workers to build the foundation and frame the house, and the carpenters said they'd never seen such plans with such intricate details in them, and they were very pleased to work with these plans. They didn't leave much to imagination, and so Barbara actually did a lot of the work. I was working full time, and Barbara would go out and get bids on the foundation, get bids on the framing, and get bids on the plumbing and so on. And then we'd decide which one we were going to accept, and so that's how we ended up getting this house built. But we never did really finish it because we got through with the carpenters, but there was a lot of things that had to be done, like painting the house, which I did. I painted it inside and out, whole thing by myself, and we built some of the cabinets. I built some of the cabinets in the house, and we installed the bathtub ourselves, and just did a lot of the work ourselves. And then after we moved in, we then started developing the basement, and I built a sewing room for Barbara and a recreation room and a workshop, and I built a bathroom, plumbed it and everything for myself. So anyway, did a tremendous amount of work.